right, everyone. Welcome back to Hot Round Takes. This is the NFL Week 10 recap show on Sunday, November 12th. Moving towards the Thanksgiving weekend of football. We are that close. I say it every week. The season absolutely flying by. This week, guys, we have a lot of good football to get to. Unfortunately, mine and Christian's teams fell victim to game-winning field goals at the buzzer in two of the better games on this NFL Sunday slate of games. Happens in this league. Sometimes you're going to lose some heartbreakers, but regardless, we're going to try to keep the vibes and the energy a little up. It's just one loss, and we still have a lot of football to get through in this season. And our teams, we're still very confident in. So, with that said, we'll dive right into the recap portion of the pod to start off, as always, the Thursday night game that we tried to build up as much as we could on the preview show, but it was pretty much the stinker we thought it would be. A 13-16 defeat for the Carolina Panthers, sitting at 1-8 on the year. Chicago moves to 3-7. Don't really have a lot to say. Bryce Young still looks pretty bad, his rookie campaign, but I will say there was a comparison thrown out with some statistics not too long ago, or after that game. It was pretty much comparing Bryce's season to Trevor Lawrence's rookie year. And if you look at the numbers, very, very comparable. So Panthers fans, don't lose hope on Bryce Young quite yet. Maybe the coaching. Obviously, the coaching was the problem in Jacksonville for Trevor with Urban Meyer. They go out, get him a Christian Kirk, draft a Travis Etienne, comes back next year healthy. They get those added pieces that Bryce Young definitely needs right now in this offense. Maybe they can turn things around next year. But moving forward, I'm not going to have a lot to say about the Panthers or Bears as this football season progresses because they are where they are. They're two of the worst teams in football. So either you guys have any notes on that football game at all?
I don't.
Yeah, one little takeaway, and Chicago, you did it. You have the number one pick. I'm proud of you. Just I don't know what your decision will be moving forward. Will it be a quarterback? I guess if we talk about this team, that's what will be brought up.
Yeah, 100%. That they are the two, along with the Cardinals, who pulled it off today, are going to be flirting with that number one overall pick. Well, it's really the Cardinals because the Bears on the Panthers pick. So that's really the only conversation we'll have around all those teams regarding their football teams for the remainder of the year. Moving on, guys, we got two more pretty, one mid team, but better than their record probably shows. And then you got the 2-8 Patriots. And my God, this Germany game was just tough to watch offensively. Colts pull it out 10-6, but yet another Mac Jones benching because another poor performance rolled through. Brian, you know the Pats very well. Touch on anything you saw out of this football game, and what do you expect from this team moving forward after a 2-8 start?
I didn't give this one my time of day. I didn't. I'm going to be honest. I did watch the highlights of it that pulled up during the halftime shows and things like that. But just clear frustration for New England. They just can't win football games. Whether it's the offense just not doing anything, just being completely stagnant, just not a very efficient rushing attack. The defense just not a difference maker. I mean, they did hold them to 10 points in this game, but the offense just wasn't competent, so it didn't really matter. But Colts get another win, and they keep their playoff hopes alive.
They send it 5-5 for Indy now, so we'll have to keep an eye on them. They keep giving us good football games, entertaining ones, close football games every week. So that's really what to watch out for them. Maybe they can sneak in the playoffs, but there's another AFC South team looking like they could be the more important threat to come out of that second place finish in that division, if I had to guess. Moving on, guys, we've got the Green Bay Packers dropping to 3-6 on the football year. Pittsburgh picks up their win at 6-3 now, 23-19 final score here. Kenny Pickett, I said they could maybe break out a little bit offensively, and I will say not much going in the air, but Warren had a big day on the ground, a long touchdown run, and 15 carries for 101 yards. Kind of the recipe for how Steelers are going to win football games.
Yep.
Decent ground attack, no turnovers from Pickett, and a good defensive showing. Jordan Love, actually played a pretty good game, although the game-ending interception is going to leave a sour taste in some people's mouths. Hopefully, if he can just kind of build off this, eliminate the turnover towards the end, and get someone to step up in that receiving core. Christian Watson had a tough drop today. Brian told me about earlier. Just needs someone to help the young guy out because he has some tools to get some things done. But that's all I really have from that game. Up next, we have the team I would just foreshadowed a bit, the 5-4 now Houston Texans walking into Cincinnati and beating Joe Burrow and the Bengals by a 30-27 score. My God, how many times can we bump up CJ Stroud in this pod? This may become the CJ Stroud pod at this point because every week it's a dominant performance. Every week it's a different receiver just getting a whole bunch of yards. This week, Noah Brown, 7 for 172. CJ Stroud does not discriminate, man. He gets the ball to everyone, whoever's open. It doesn't matter. So, shootout, and ultimately the Texans come out on top. Any quick notes from this game, guys? It was one of the better ones of the day.
Man, I just really think highly of CJ Stroud. I remember my quarterback take was really I didn't think any of these guys were going to be like super good. Like I thought CJ Stroud was the best of them, and he'd be like a good quarterback, maybe not an elite quarterback, but he's starting to look like he could be that elite quarterback that the Texans fans really hope that he can be. But I think he really plays the same kind of style or whatever you want to call it that Tua does, and that's that pocket passing quarterback. He's going to be a ball placement specialist, if you will, and just execute the offense at a really high level. And that's what he's doing, and it's really impressive to see him week in and week out do it with different weapons, and they're not marquee weapons. They're not big names. They're talented guys, but they're not number one weapons. You add a number one weapon to this offense, you add some pieces to this defense, all of a sudden the Texans are a very dangerous football team.
Yeah, he is very much so elevating guys in that receiver room right now, and that's what the great ones do. So doing it his rookie year, very impressive stuff. As we say, weekly now for CJ Stroud. Coming up next, I'm gonna let Christian just go off on this one, guys. It was the ultimate showdown between the Saints and the Vikings, 5-4 teams. Minnesota picking up the win behind Joshua Dobbs, Christian's guy, 27
His
to
other
19.
guy got to play.
Yeah, we all love Jameis on this pod. That is the
Famous
entertainment
Jameis.
guy, famous Jameis, baby. He is the entertainment value of the NFL, and he came in and played pretty well, but it was typical Jameis stuff like big play, interception, back and forth, had a chance to win it late, those type of things. But ultimately, it was Josh Dobbs coming out on top. Christian, you've harped on this guy for the last few pods now. Go ahead and tell us what you saw out of this football game.
Yeah, no, I mean, Joshua Dobbs, you see that he maybe found his favorite weapon a little early, and that's TJ Hawkinson. I mean, granted, TJ Hawkinson did get up a couple times shaken up, but I mean, Joshua Dobbs kept going back to him, and I think that's a good thing moving forward with this Vikings team. And then I just think Joshua Dobbs, we've seen the pocket really break down a couple times and things that Kirk Cousins couldn't do. We're seeing Joshua Dobbs be able to do, and that's run the football. So, I mean, you know, a team that hasn't been able to run the football, now they have a quarterback that can maybe open that up for them. And, you know, Ty Chandler came in with Madison's injury. And, I mean, honestly, I think that might be a thing they might need to, you know, go ahead and maybe go with moving forward is Ty Chandler, because I just see a lot more speed out of him in the backfield, and that's maybe been something they're missing. But, you know, I don't know what else Joshua Dobbs got to do to make Brian a believer, but I think after this showing, I understand Brian still is going to say it's just the Saints. It's not good enough. So I guess we'll just have to keep seeing Joshua Dobbs take over the NFL by storm, and maybe just one day Brian will wake up on the brighter side of the Joshua Dobbs train.
He is playing. I'm so very much so rooting for this guy because as Christian harped on, what a brilliant mind to come in and just see a playbook and then within 2 weeks put out two very solid performances. Maybe Minnesota's got a little magic, man. They'll make a push. They looks like they got second place in the NFC North locked up. Maybe
Easily,
make a push for the division if they can catch Detroit. I don't know how many head-to-heads they have left with them, but that'll be something to watch. The Josh Dobbs show moving forward in Minnesota. Next up, Christian, I'll let you go again because one of your quarterbacks took a win on this NFL Sunday. It was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers led by Baker Mayfield, moving to 4-5, beating the Tennessee Titans by a 20-6 score. Very dominant day for the defense, and Baker was efficient. So what'd you like out of this game, Christian?
Yeah, no, they've been doing kind of what I pinned on all pod, since the beginning of the season is they're getting White involved in the passing game, and that's really changed a lot for this team the more and more they've done it. And then, Mike Evans, yes, he did have a couple big drops, but I think he was doing whatever he wanted to out there today. He had, 6 catches, 143 yards. They got Godwin, his 4 touches or catches today. I think moving the ball around, moving forward. I will say Trey Palmer had an amazing catch today. If you didn't see it, go back and watch it. A rookie, amazing catch. Had a big moment during the game. But other than that, will Tennessee stick with Will Levis after what we're seeing? Ryan Tannehill's still there. What's going on moving forward out of that team would be all I really have on that side of the ball. But for the Bucs, I think, next week I think it's a rough game for them. But I like what they're doing right now. Maybe see if they can build upon this and make some more noise.
Yep. With you there, Christian. Moving on, guys. One we thought was going to be the game of the day turned out to be a dominant beatdown. As I kind of had a feeling, San Francisco coming off 3 straight losses and a bye week, they pretty much came into this game and said, nope, we're still very, very good. We've got Chase Young now, and the defense shut down the Jacksonville offense 34-3 final. Christian McCaffrey's 17-game streak of a game with at least one touchdown did come to an end. But I'm sure he'll trade that off for a 34-3 win. Brian, true masterpiece from San Fran. Any notes from this football game, either on Jacksonville's poor performance or San Fran's dominant one?
I think it's really more San Fran is the story here, in my opinion, just because they're healthy. They got their guys back, and everyone looked really good. But I thought there was some questionable decision-making down the stretch here with leaving McCaffrey in the game, and they're killing them. It's 34-3, and we're going to give the ball to McCaffrey 4 straight times on the goal line with a couple minutes left in the game.
That was very much they wanted to extend that streak move 100%. And
I know, but why are you doing this? McCaffrey has an injury history, not trying to crap on the guy or anything like that, but your game is in hand.
Yeah.
There's no reason to trot him out there, in my opinion.
It's hard because when you're on the verge, that would have been the record. He's tied for the record. That's where it's going to stay now. Would have been the record-breaking 18th game in a row with a touchdown. Things like that don't come around to many guys in their career, but I understand your point. San Fran's ultimate goal is to make a deep playoff run, and we've said it time and time. Yeah, we've said it time and time again on this podcast. They definitely need Christian McCaffrey to make that a done deal and get over the Eagles in this NFC playoff picture. So that said, dominant win. Couldn't really ask for more complete performance, especially coming off 3 straight losses. One they desperately needed, and didn't live up to the game of the day. But our next one here, unfortunately, did have that billing. It was a 33-31 win for the Cleveland, as Christian likes to say. Cleveland. That brother. And you know how these games go. When your team falls, Ravens led this game literally the entire game. And a game-winning field goal ended up being the difference. I'm going to touch on what I think I saw from both these AFC North teams and where they might be moving forward. And honestly, guys, game scripts, just 2 very evenly matched teams. I respect the heck out of Cleveland and what they've created on defense. They've got a lot of playmakers on that side of the ball, and they really stifled the Ravens when they looked like they were about to run away with it. They got a 2-touchdown lead early on, but credit to them and credit to their trenches on both sides of the ball. I think that's where the difference in this game was. Offensive line a bit banged up for Cleveland, didn't matter. Still able to run the ball very effectively. Deshaun extended plays, battling through some injuries and making plays, especially over the middle of the field to Njoku and Cooper. Those are his guys, much like Baltimore. These very symmetrical teams. It's Andrews and Flowers on our side. And for me, it was a little disappointing to see Keaton Mitchell get 2 explosive touches in the first half, a long touchdown run and then a long catch, and then not see another touch in the second half. That was disappointing. Honestly, I thought he was very electric again, so he warranted more touches. Defensive side, both teams got a tip ball pick 6. Some missed tackles, some sloppy play, blown coverages, not typical out of these defenses, but in the end, it was the Cleveland offensive line driving the length of the field, get themselves in that game-winning field goal range, and they put the punctuation on the end with a game-winning 40-yard field goal. Heartbreaking defeat from the Ravens, but it's 1 week. This, as I said, guys, I didn't expect to come out these next two AFC North games 2-0. They're two very good football teams we're facing, but with this loss, obviously Cincinnati, a much more important game coming up Thursday night for me. So
Yep.
hopefully we turn it around. Christian, credit. I know your Chargers took a L today, but the Cleveland game obviously had to perk your spirits and what you saw from them, because a lot of things you said and the things you believe in with Cleveland came to fruition today. So credit to you and your calling and belief in them right now. So very good football team, some very good ones in the AFC North in general. So that's all I got on that side. We'll move on to Christian's Chargers as we get into the late window of games. And honestly, another game of the day candidate. It was the Detroit Lions coming out on top with a game-winning field goal as time expired, 41-38 final score. Christian's going to harp on it here, and it's really the story of the Chargers all season. What's going on in the defense? We've talked about it about every pod. And now just another crushing defeat, 4-5 for LA on the year. If they want to turn things around and get to the playoffs, Christian's going to let you know we need more from this defense. So, Christian, break it down, man. Detroit played a great football game. They're a great team, but obviously heartbreaking for you.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about the defense real quick. I mean, at halftime, they already had, I think it was like 300 yards. I mean, cannot happen in an NFL game. But I will say the Lions beat us in every stat category. I mean, total yards, passing yards, rushing, even yards per play. They're averaging 8.3. So, I'd expect to lose when that happened. The game is just this close because, we have Justin Herbert. So, we're always going to be in these games. But, I mean, I will say Dan Campbell does not believe in our defense. I mean, this guy, 4 for 5 on fourth downs. I mean, we had it in one drive. I think it was 3 fourth downs in a row, and he just kept saying, "Nah, stay out there. Y'all got it. Stay on out." But, I mean, I will say Keenan Allen looked good, did get shaken up, came back into the game. For us, I mean, Austin Eckler, got 19 carries, but he only averaged like 3.5 today. But, I mean, we're really missing that number 2 guy for me as a Chargers fan. That's really what it comes down to is what will this offense be with like a Mike Williams? I mean, that's Quentin Johnson had a big catch. Guyton came back finally after his long spent on an injury reserve list. But I just really think we're missing that true number 2 guy. But at the end of the day, when the score looks like this, that's not really the problem. It goes back to that defense. And I just think, and we preached it on this pod, but Chargers, I thought could stop the run, cannot. Need to fire the head coach. I still believe that, even with our games being this close. Just this guy got brought in to be a head coach because of his defense.
Yep.
The GM, I think, really went out there and paid, hey, what do you need for your defense to work? Went out there and spent it, and then it's still not working at the end of the day. So just a heartbreaking loss, but at the end of the day, it's just, I still believe in this team. I think we can still make it to the playoffs, but it's going to be a rough road ahead if our defense keep playing like this.
Yeah, I mean, you harped on it as much as you want to point the finger at wide receiver too. In a day, you put up 38 points in NFL. You're supposed to win those games, and we've talked about it each pod with the Chargers. Just disappointment from the defense, and honestly, Christian, things just keep continuing this way. It might be a blessing in disguise because head coach just needs to go, as you said at this point. He's had his opportunities. The defense is not what it's supposed to be. It's been that way for a while now, so perhaps a blessing in disguise, and they move on from Staley here soon. I would hope so, for your sake, for sure. Next up, guys, really the upset of the day, the Atlanta Falcons falling on the road to the now 2-8 Arizona Cardinals, a 25-23 score. Brian, man, I'm gonna try to let you salvage your Falcons love that you've hyped up throughout the season, but obviously we just harped on the Chargers coaching. Atlanta can very much be thrown in the same category, the same boat. Tough coaching day for the Atlanta Falcons. Not a game you're supposed to lose, and they did. Now 4-6 on the year. Brian, anything on this game?
Yeah, quickly on the Cardinals side, I thought Kyler Murray just showed life, coming back. Wasn't a cleanest game, but just showing what he is capable of as far as off script, being able to move, make stuff happen when it's not really there. He was able to elevate this Cardinals team to be competent on the offensive side of the ball. That's really all they needed to beat this Falcons team that just can't seem to get out their way with poor head coach decision making and execution and lack of getting their playmakers involved through the passing game. Just another really poor performance from the quarterbacks, and it's just been more of what we've seen all year. And the game was there for the taking. If they had just better quarterback play, probably would take this game, even though it was ugly. It'd been an ugly win and not an ugly loss. So, just continuing to say, man, Atlanta does have a talented team. They can just get a quarterback in here.
Yeah. No, it's 55 yards through the air is just not seen. Even the Giants with a third string quarterback wasn't going to go down that road today. Like it's tough sledding out there to watch Atlanta and
Against the Cardinals too, man.
again, yeah, it's especially you
Cardinals
throw that
tried
in.
to, man, to lose. I mean, they had 11 penalties to 1 interception. I mean, anything the Cardinals could do to lose happened in the game, and then just Atlanta said, "Nah, y'all take it. Let's give
Y'all
Kyler
take it."
Murray a present. You know, this is his first game back. Let's give it to him."
It was tough, guys. And speaking of tough watches, our next one, the New York Football Giants, guys. Yeah. In the 2 games between New York and Dallas this year, a combined score of 89 from Dallas to 17 for the Giants, guys. Wow. 49-17 the final today at home for Dallas. Doing exactly what they're supposed to do against this inferior team. Brandon Cooks, huge day, 9 catches, $173. And Dak Prescott, I'll give it to him. I don't still believe he's the guy to go out and beat the really good teams and make things happen that way, but he takes care of business against these these bad teams. I'll give him that. 404 yards, 4 touchdowns. Like he's doing what he's supposed to do against the bad guys. And even the elite guys, we've seen Pat Mahomes struggle with Denver's and other guys have their weeks to where they don't live up to a inferior team. Dak Prescott does not have that issue. He very much shows up against these inferior teams, and a beat down for Dallas, really moving in the direction where we think they are in the NFC, right below that Philly and San Fran tier. Impressive showing for them. Last, guys, we have.
I have one note on that game real quick.
Of course.
Rico Dowdle had 12 carries, 79 yards, was the leading rusher for the Dallas Cowboys, and I was lucky enough to be on the field with this man in high school. I just want to say
Uncle
that, man.
Rico,
Shout out to
baby.
Rico Dowdle, man.
Uncle
I'm sorry,
Rico.
Tony. It looks bad out there for you, brother.
I know. I'm hurting because I've got Tony in fantasy, and they can't get him in the end zone. That's really hurting me right now. Running back's hurting me, as Christian can attest to that, as he's beating me in fantasy, and his team is just too good to overcome right now in our league. So, last game, guys, for the recap portion of the pod was the Washington Commanders dropping the road game to the Seattle Seahawks, bouncing back from that tough loss against my Ravens last week. Now Seattle sitting at 6-3, Washington at 4-6. It was a very close game and one to really entertain you through the air. Both quarterbacks over 300 yards. Either of y'all care to take some quick notes on this one, and we'll get into our takes.
What's up, Brian? I got you, Brian. So, my big thing for Sam Howell, he's playing great. I just wish they could have some type of running game till we could actually see how good Sam Howell is. But right now, I think the arm talent's there. The passing, we're seeing it week in and week out now. I think Sam Howell needs to be one of those guys to get talked about a little bit more on what he's actually doing with this Washington team, because I think he's a lot better quarterback than a lot of people's giving him credit for right now. And then on the Seattle side, I will say Kenneth Walker got involved early, kind of really led the way for them. And same thing for the Commander side was Brian Robinson. It was a very heavy running back game early on, but then eventually, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett did their thing. Geno Smith came back to whatever we seen in a couple weeks. He looks back to the Geno that, didn't write back. But big win for Seattle. Washington, they should have lost this game, but they're showing heart, I think, on their side. And Seattle's doing whatever they can to definitely make up and try to get in their division for the run.
Yep. I like that, Christian. That's it on our recap takes and our breakdowns for this week's pod. We're going to get right into our NFL team takes and landscape takes of the week and shorten this pod up if we can. Hopefully keep it under an hour for you guys. Obviously, Brian's team was off. I don't know if you have one for your Dolphins this week. So I'm going to start it off with my Ravens take. There was a lot of ways we could go, and really what stuck out to me in our Cleveland game was the loss in the Battle of the Trenches. I talked on that earlier. The offensive line, guys, I think there's still some talents on that line. Tyler Linderbaum is a heck of a center, and we didn't have Morgan Moses at right tackle today, but, McCary's a very good six-man swing tackle. So that said, the guys are there. But it's still very much guys that fit a Greg Roman scheme, Greg Roman type offense. Guys that are just big, push you, dominate physicality, where Todd Monken likes to use the width of the field and guys that can move in space. That's why Linderbaum's been good for us, because he's very quick to pull and get out in the second level. Very good player in that. He's excelling in the system. The rest of the guys, Ronnie Stanley actually having a tough year. He went down with an injury again today, but even when he's been on the field, just getting beat a lot of times on the edge, man. And I think the talent is there, but the offensive scheme for this offensive line doesn't seem to fit right now. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on any type of adjustments offensive linemen need to make. How do you feel? Can you make offensive linemen adjust to a scheme, or is it we are being forced to draft more speed, get to second level, pull faster, and make blocks in space type guys? Is that where we have to go, or is there any chance we can coach these guys into working in this Todd Monken scheme in 2023?
Okay, so this is something I just experienced, transitioning from a gap run heavy scheme to a wide zone heavy scheme with Mike McDaniel coming into the fray. And we did have to let go of some of our guys just because they were just not scheme fits for the wide zone, because, for the wide zone, you got to be able to hit landmarks, and you got to be able to extend and gain ground quickly in a short amount of time. And some guys are not capable of that. And for a transition to happen, it normally takes some time to fully get the run game like in rhythm and stride and go in the way they want it to. Because last year Miami could not run the football at all, and it's crazy because Mike McDaniel was supposed to be this run game innovator who's going to come in and fix our run game. Well, we couldn't run the football, and it's because we didn't have the right personnel to do it, and we didn't change a whole lot. We got another guard in house, or center, and our right guard or tackles just kind of got familiar with the system. And then we got tight ends that could block on the edge, which is so critical to a wide zone rushing attack. And so that might be part of it for Baltimore. I know you got Mark Andrews, but who's that other tight end that can be a presence on the boundary as a blocker? And then especially your guards and tackles, got to have guys that can get out and hit landmarks. Staley is a big tackle. I know he's a downhill kind of run blocker, so not the cleanest transition, but to highlight one team that's had guys that are not necessarily the best athletes excel is San Francisco. They've had guys that are not the best athletes excel, like Elijah Wilkerson, I believe. There was another guard that had some success. He plays for him now, but his name's escaping me. But yeah, man, it just takes some time.
And it's an unsung part of the football game, honestly, every day. The trenches don't get talked about enough, in my opinion, and that's really what the outcome of this game boiled down to. Christian, your thoughts on the offensive line and the scheme moving forward?
No, I think kind of what Brian said is I think it's going to take more than a year to learn it. And you got to think as a whole unit, like one, your wide receivers, do you trust them to block also? I don't think it's more than just the offensive line is the problem for Baltimore, because I think also maybe you agree, Chase, is maybe the right running back isn't getting the touches that you already hinted on this pod. And I think that's a big thing. So the running backs, y'all got nothing against them, but it takes a while for I won't say Hill so much, but it takes Edwards a minute to get going.
Yes.
I think that's not so much on the offensive line, because we've seen this team be great, but I think it's more of like what Brian said. It's the scheme. To this team, like you said, with Greg Roman could run the ball, and I just think, that just doesn't disappear out of nowhere. It's definitely the scheme, and now the offensive linemen are trying to learn it. So I'd like to see maybe this group return next year, and we see what this running game looks like before we can really say, well, this guy's got to go. He's not going to be able to do it. So I think it's just a big turnaround from what this team's been for the last, 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, 100%, guys. I like your takes there. And ultimately, I did harp on it a little in the game. Keaton Mitchell, he's been so explosive, and he's been the one to hit make those second level guys miss with just a little shake. His long touchdown run today, that's exactly what he did. He just beat a guy to the edge and outran everybody. He's been our fastest ball carrier by next gen stats at almost 21 miles per hour. So he's the track star of the team. Getting him more touches can maybe offset the building blocks of what this offensive line has seemed to be through the first half of the year, and hope that they can catch up. So that's my take. Brian, Christian, if you either have a team take for the week, go ahead and take it.
I got a quick one. I just wanted to highlight some of the missed time we've had this year as we transition to the second half of the season. We've had just some of our really top-end elite players just miss time, and we've continued to win despite that. Like, if you would have told me Armstead was going to miss 6 games of our first 9, I don't know how I would have thought our season would have went, because when Armstead wasn't in the lineup last year, it was disastrous for the offense. And he's missed 6 games. The offense has been good. I mean, I'm not going to say how good, because there's still questions on how it can perform against good defenses. But Ramsey's missed 7 games. Waddle missed a game. Has been banged up all season. Hasn't really been himself. Holland missed a game. Jalen Phillips missed 3 games. Connor Williams missed 3 games. Xavier Howard missed a game. Robert Hunt missed a game. Von AJ missed 4 games. Isaiah Wynn's out for the season. So we're getting all those guys back besides Isaiah Wynn, and we'll be healthy for the first time all year next week. And I'm just excited to see what the full picture will look like.
Yeah, Brian. Just quickly, I think getting healthy at the right time is just such a key thing in making a run at this thing in the NFL. Timing, playing high at the right time, maybe more in any sport. It's the case in every sport, but more often than not in basketball, the better team wins. The hot team is really the team that was hot all year in that sport. Baseball is just such a random, fluky, not really fluky, but just the break of a ball can really bring some crazy stuff out in MLB playoffs. Whereas the NFL, usually the team that makes the run is a really good team that got hot and healthy at the right and perfect time. Miami obviously trending towards that direction, and I think no better test than me and Christian were going through you guys' second half schedule earlier pre-pod, and looks like the table can be set to make things gel, let these guys get on the field together, learn each other's tendencies and patterns, and work this thing out regular season while being able to pick up wins against these lesser teams, starting with Vegas next week. And then once you get to the playoffs and facing the really good teams, Tua's already really good at the anticipation throws. He knows his receivers, but think about that on the defensive side. Knowing where your safety is behind you and where he's going to be in coverages and how he's going to react to certain routes that you see coming. Like these guys watch so much film. They know a lot of these plays before they're even snapped, right? And bright minds like Jalen Ramsey, he knows what Javon Holland's going to do on the back end. He's learning that the second half of the year can make a dangerous Miami defense and a complete team. So I like the way you guys are heading in the health. That's obviously something we all root for in every team. And we want to see the best teams healthy to see what each team really has.
Couldn't agree with you more, Chase.
Yeah, so like Chase said, man, I'm just keep it short, sweet. You know, they have the next 5 weeks. The 2 Jets games are your hardest 2 games that you might have to worry about, maybe some miscommunication. But until December the 24th, when y'all go to, I think Dallas will be coming to Miami. That's how long y'all got till you really got to figure this defense out. So really December 24th, 31st, and 7th, I think that's when you need to really look at this defense and see where y'all sit at. Definitely, like Chase said, communication would be key, but see how healthy y'all are entering those last 3 games. I think would be the key for how successful y'all are moving forward into the playoffs, and just seeing how good this defense really is once they play, like Chase said, not the lesser teams, but just the upper echelon. I think we don't really know about Dallas still. I'll definitely say that. But I think we know where definitely the Ravens are at this point, and when we know where Buffalo is, it's really Josh Allen. But, I mean, that's where you want to test your defense. It'd be against the Josh Allen's offense.
100%, Christian. Good question, Brian, for your Dolphins. On the bye week, they were spared the misery of the Week 10 NFL heartbreakers for me and Christian. So count your blessings that they were on this NFL bye week. And maybe Week 11, they work some things out and get healthy and just look good, complete on the defensive end. That's really the side of the ball I will be watching for your Dolphins moving forward. Christian, obviously a tough Chargers game you've already touched a little on. Any take you want to get into before we head into our NFL ones?
Nah, man, I'll just say we play Green Bay next week. Have 2 maybe NFL takes if we have time, and I'm ready to play Jordan Love because God Almighty.
I got you, buddy. All right, we'll move on. And goodness, I said earlier this has become the CJ Stroud pod. This isn't a CJ Stroud take, but it is a Houston Texans one, and I've leaned this way in a lot of my NFL takes really throughout this format that we started doing, guys. And for me, a statement win today going into Cincinnati. I think by season's end, Houston will be in the playoffs. And that is a huge, huge statement. Yes, I know, man. It is a huge statement considering the teams in the AFC. But I want to look at it this way, guys. The AFC North, they're four really good teams
Oh
in
my
this
gosh.
division. They're going to beat up on each other. I think so much so you saw it today. Two teams will make it. I think that is a lock. Buffalo, I would consider a good lock for another wild card. I think it comes down to the third AFC North team and the Houston Texans for that final wild card spot. Right now, I think the North will probably have the Ravens and Browns coming out. I know Cincinnati has the firepower, but they just keep shooting themselves in the foot on defense, and they head-to-head loss. A head-to-head loss to Houston could be the difference maker. I ain't going to guarantee it, but I would bet a lot of money that the seventh and final wild card spot might come down to a tiebreaker. And honestly, today's game could be the difference. CJ Stroud's just playing too good, guys. I can't not ride this wave. I know it's a huge, bold statement, but give me the Houston Texans in the AFC playoff picture. How about that?
Man, I can see it. I can because you look at their schedule. I
That's what I'm
mean,
saying, guys. That's what I'm saying.
Cardinals. That's a dub. Jaguars, I'm going to lean towards Jacksonville.
Yeah,
But
I still
still,
got them.
Denver, that's a
Dub.
winnable game. The Jets, winnable game. Titans, winnable
Dub.
game. Twice. They got the Titans twice. And then the Colts again.
That's what I'm saying.
The Browns, I mean,
I think they'll lose.
Browns, but
Yeah, I think don't get me wrong. I think Jacksonville still wins this division, and Houston will drop to Cleveland, I believe, and they might drop one to some random team because they did lose to Carolina. Like, this is still a young team that can drop any game.
yeah.
That said, they're playing really good. CJ Stroud is playing too good, and the rest of that schedule, I think, what they at 5 wins now? I think they get to 10, and I think 10 might be the tiebreaker over Cincinnati for that final wild card spot. What say you guys? You think they get in?
I think you got to have 11 wins to make
That is
playoffs.
steep.
I think you're going to have to, bro. We missed the playoffs with 10 wins in 2021, and it's tough. But, man, in this division, with how competitive it is and all the teams that are going to be right around that win total, I think you're going to have 11.
Yeah, no. My thing is I look at the Colts schedule, and it's kind of like Houston's where, I mean, both of these teams maybe could be the team to upset the other one, kind of not going. But with that being said, like Brian said, that's even with how many wins these teams could get by the end of the year, if it's 9 or 10, the Colts and Houston, they could still be not looking in. But I would say, Houston and the Colts, I would definitely take Houston over the Colts right now. Definitely after seeing Zach Moss not even touch the ball today was a big – I think it's Jonathan Taylor moving forward. I think that's a good thing for the Colts maybe. But I just think Houston, what we've seen when he has to go to other guys, has been able to do it. For the Colts side, when he has to go to other guys, it's been Pittman and Downs every once in a while, but it's not like what we've seen as CJ Stroud. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. I would like to think, my Chargers can get going. We'll get the team more wins than both of these teams by the end of the season.
What about the Jets, man? No love for the Jets. They win tonight, 5-4.
The Jets.
No,
they're gonna be second place, baby. They're gonna be in second place.
Come on, man.
It's gonna be the Dolphins, the Jets. They'll go to round 2. Aaron makes his return. It's gonna be crazy, boy. Everybody fasten your seatbelts.
Oh my God.
Aaron Rodgers will be back.
December return,
round
mid-December.
That would
You hear me?
be
round
unreal.
2. I hear
December,
you. Let it happen.
December.
But Buffalo, bro, they got the Jets again, the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, us, New England, y'all. I mean, Buffalo's got a tough road ahead, a tough one. So I think if the Jets keep playing Jets football, yeah, but if they play Jets football, bro, and just let the defense carry it on out, run the football, chew the clock, heck, it'll like the Jets are on the right foot tonight. And then I hate to say it, but Buffalo definitely will be on the right foot Monday night against Denver. But I think both of these teams is really up to, I hate to say it, but it's all on Zach Wilson. I mean, that's really what it's on. It's on Zach Wilson, but I would just say if they can make it happen, man.
Yeah. Well, guys, we kind of harp this, obviously, with our fandom of our teams and just the AFC as a whole. We harp this the whole preseason episodes and every week since we've started this pod. of how good and loaded this AFC is. A bold take to throw Houston in the mix. Not one of us had in a AFC playoff mix, but CJ Stroud's play has put them right there. That's my NFL take of the week. Christian, Brian, go ahead with yours.
Christian, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, brother. You want to go first? Because I'm going to go ahead and tell you, mine's not going to be a positive one taken. So if you'd like to go, you can
All
go
right.
ahead and go. But
mine isn't great. It was going to be kind of a short one. But who is your mid-season NFL MVP?
It's almost tough to say, but
I have
you
mine.
can't. I almost want to say AJ Brown. Not even kidding, but I can't give it to a receiver. Like, he's not going to win it, obviously. But he's been the best player on the best team, so that's where you kind of default to most of the time. Brian's thinking Tua. I'm kind of thinking Tua. No, really? Tua's played good, man. Last week was a bit rough, but he's played good. He's definitely in the conversation. I think my guy's in the conversation. He had his worst game of the year, I think, today, but 7-3 start's still very good, and he's spearheading that. A lot of guys in the conversation. Honestly, I probably say Jalen Hurts, best QB of the best team right now. And honestly, AJ Brown's been the best player to me, but it's a QB award, as we know, guys. So I'll take Jalen Hurts right now.
What you got, Christian?
man, I was going to say Jalen Hurts, but I really want to copy Chase, but that is what I'm feeling right now. I mean, just looking right now, he's got 1,542 passing yards, 7 touchdowns. Yes, the 7 interceptions, but he's also got the 5 rushing touchdowns. And leading, I mean, he's got the division. Probably, we can go ahead and say the Eagles are going to win it. Yeah. But, I mean, the only other one I can maybe think of is, I mean, if some way, somehow Miami drops the ball, Josh Allen can sneak in there, win the division and take it. But I just don't, with y'all's schedule, I just don't see it happening. The only other one you could maybe argue Patrick Mahomes, but I just don't think you would go Patrick Mahomes this season just because how good their defense has been. Yeah. So, I mean, y'all know Tua stats, bro. I'm looking at them. They do look good, but I just don't see Tua winning it just because
Tyreek Hill.
I don't know, bro. It's just, it's like they're going to take it away from him just media-wise. And that media's, I'm pretty sure, have a couple votes in this. And they're going to, I mean, Jalen Hurts was the runner-up last year, so why not go ahead and this be his year to get it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you highlighting exactly what I wanted to talk about. If there's going to be a year when a non-quarterback wins it, is it not going to be the year a receiver breaks it and goes over 2,000 yards?
I mean, with no QB running away with it. Each QB that's in it, we just listed. Jalen Hurts had a bad game against the Jets. Josh Allen's had bad games. Joe Burrow's had bad games. Lamar had a bad game today. Tua had a rough one last week against KC a little bit and the Buffalo game a little bit. So, you put up a record-breaking season as a receiver and no quarterback wants to take this award and just play flawless for 17 games. That's the direction we can head. And especially if you consider Miami ends up with the best record, I would not be opposed to it because I kind of hate that it's a QB award, truthfully.
Yeah, so if it's not going to be Tyreek because it's got to be a quarterback, but if it's not going to be Tua because of Tyreek, I mean, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? And, Tua's leading the league, passing yards, passing touchdowns, quarterback rating, all of those. So if he's not in the discussion for MVP, I don't really know what the stats are there for, but I think it should be Tyreek. I just think that's the magnitude that he plays with. You got to be aware of him. He just brings so much attention, and you're able to scheme around him. He gives you so many options and really frees things up for other players to play well. So I just think he's just so valuable as a player.
I agree with you, Brian, but to your point, if we're thinking non-QBs as well, that's why I threw A.J. Brown's name in because his stats aren't quite what Tyreek's are, but the Eagles are the best team in the NFL right now, record-wise, and A.J. Brown is the best player on that team right now. He's solidified him. We thought highly of him already preseason, but he solidified a top 5 receiver in the league position for me, and just thinking non-QBs, that's the 2 guys I would look at right now. So good take. Christian, you got a doozy for Brian, it sounds like. So go ahead and get in yours, buddy.
Oh, yeah, the doozy's actually for Chase. I think, by the end of the
Oh,
season,
God.
all said and done, I think maybe the AFC North is not Baltimore's. I think after seeing today and looking at the schedule ahead, I mean, right now, if I was betting, I think Cleveland could easily be the king of the division with the schedule they have. What I've seen today, I mean, Baltimore, for hate to say it, but their elite defense they have that Chase has been talking about. I mean, we're at the fourth quarter, 9 minutes and 6 seconds left, 17-31. And
It's
this elite
bad.
defense could not stop a Deshaun Watson that hasn't looked that great, a Jerome Ford that had over 107 yards rushing. So I just think maybe this Cleveland team's a lot better than, I mean, y'all finally came to the side a little bit, but this defense, I think, is the best in the NFL. And I just think with their defense being this elite and Deshaun not being maybe what we're used to seeing Deshaun in Houston, but just how good the running game is, I think they can easily take over this division and take the lead just because Cincinnati, I think there's something missing. I don't know what's going on with Cincy, but the Steelers, I cannot get behind a Kenny Pickett team. And then Baltimore, just the schedule's rough ahead. It really
rough.
is. So I think y'all can maybe drop a game or two, maybe three, and then that's when Cleveland could really take this and win the division.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up Cleveland's schedule because Christian, I'm not disagreeing. I definitely did not think this AFC North was over. I think it's going to very much go down to the final at least 2 weeks with how good these football teams are.
Oh my god.
Baltimore has a tough schedule. Yeah, I'm about to pull up
Bro, I mean,
Cleveland's
y'all
now.
schedule, bro,
Oh, Cleveland,
Baltimore's
they got
is
Jacksonville and Houston and Cincy, but other than that, it's pretty light. New York Jets, Bears on the schedule, obvious win. Rams, probably without Matt Stafford, and Denver and Pittsburgh. So they definitely have the lighter schedule, and they have a really good team to run this thing and a really good defense. Like I said, I'm not ready to just crown them just yet. I think this is just going to go down to the last week, and with us splitting, I said it. If we had went 2-0 in these 2 weeks, I'd say okay. The AFC North, even though we have a harder schedule, we'd have a 3-game lead at that point. It's kind of ours to lose.
Yeah.
Didn't see it happening because of how good these teams are. So hopefully we bounce back Thursday. We're just gonna have to beat some good teams, and we're gonna have to hope that Cleveland loses the games they're quote unquote supposed to lose against, say, Jacksonville or whoever it may be.
That week 17 game is going to be got some major playoff implications on the line.
For sure.
Yeah,
For
man.
sure.
I mean, Baltimore,
Pittsburgh,
bro.
as much as we crap on Pittsburgh, man, they're not going to go away, and they just keep winning. As I'm with Christian, I don't think they are division winners, but I said it earlier. I think that third AFC North team is going to be a playoff contender, possible 7 seed, and I think Cleveland, Baltimore will finish top 2. Pittsburgh's by no means out of the third spot in the AFC North, and that could be good enough to get in the playoffs. So, just Christian had a take on it a few weeks ago. Best division in football, bar none to me.
For real. I mean, we're looking at a Pittsburgh team that 9 games have been played. They've not had more yards than anybody they played, and they're 6-3. And then today happened. So I mean, just that's another team. But just my big thing was just looking at Ravens' schedule, man. That's a gauntlet.
It is a gauntlet, bro.
The only one I can say is they give me in that whole week that I've seen from here to the end of the season, bro, is the Rams. I mean, that's it. I think
that said, man,
Denver.
I'd be a little more discouraged. If we were like just no showing against good football teams. But every good football team, we dominated Detroit, dominated Seattle. I think they're both pretty good teams. And we went down. First matchup, we kind of pretty much dominated Cleveland, although obviously not with Deshaun. Today we had that game in hand. The defense fell apart in the end. I think they're good enough to beat good football teams, and I think they will. Is it enough to get enough wins to win the division? I don't know. It's going to be tough. Brian, you have a verdict on whether we end up pulling this thing out, or if you had to roll with Cleveland to be the AFC North champs by season's end.
I really was leaning Baltimore, and I still am, but here is where I start to get critical. Is the Cleveland Browns are winning with poor quarterback play, and I don't anticipate it getting much worse. I think if anything, it'll get better, and their passing game will find a little more rhythm. It showed Watson had some moments today where he was good at the end. I don't know if he needed just to see Lamar
Scrambling.
Jackson on the other side to rekindle some of that magic he used to have, but man, he had a moment or two here. I'm not going to say he was good because he wasn't. I think he was like 9-23 at one point. But like I said, I anticipate, if anything, getting better as the year goes on. And where I start to get a little scared is, when was the last time Lamar Jackson finished the season? And what does it look like when Lamar Jackson's not in there?
God, I hope he finishes, man, because I'm telling you, I can't.
Like
The
I
last
said,
two have been painful. To just watch a good team kind of get wasted. So that's why the line play has to get better, in my opinion, bar none. Got to protect the guy better. Lamar's the guy driving this offense week in and week out. And when he plays good, today was not his best performance, and that resulted in a loss. Those dominant wins we've had, he has played lights out. So moving forward, we just need him healthy and upright. Christian, great take, great insight on the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, a heck of a football team, a heck of a comeback win today. Brian, we'll let you get your NFL take. Or wait, have you
that
went
was
yet?
mine, really? Kind of. Well,
okay.
No, Christian's got another one.
Oh yeah, Christian, you got one more for us before we get out of here?
Yeah, but just real quick on one more thing on Lamar. It's just he did take a shot today. I know you seen it when he ran out of bounds. I mean, he took a shot. So I think moving forward, like I've been saying, was the rushing leader again on this team. Needs to change. I mean, I know it is hard without a number two, but we'll just carry on. I'm not going to beat that every pod, but
Keaton Mitchell,
and then I will say, man, while I'm talking about Lamar, man, the only thing he's missing, Chase, and it happened today, man. I seen it, and it just ate at me, and that is the deep ball, man. Zay Flower burnt him, son. I'm talking about wide open, burnt. Brian, I think maybe you could have hit this throw, bro, back in your prime. I think maybe you had a chance, bro, and it just overthrown. So, but nah, my last little take, though, is it's going to be short and sweet because Chase has really talked about him, but I don't think Dallas is the best team in Texas. I think it is the Houston Texans. I think that is the best team in Texas right now.
Ready to say it.
Bro, Dallas has beat up the bad teams, and when they played the great teams, it's looked bad. And Houston has played the great teams and looked all right. So I just think I don't think the Cowboys are as good as we think they are. I really do. I just think they're not. Say what you want. I just don't see it.
No, what I think is... Oh, go ahead, Chase. Go ahead.
I'll have pretty much a short answer for this. Dallas is just overhated, and I don't like Dallas. Like, I'm a very much firm guy. I don't like Dallas. I don't think Dak is the difference maker. But roster-wise, Micah Parsons is a huge difference, perhaps the biggest difference maker on the defensive side. And the wide receiver core is balling right now. Absolutely balling. Offensive line's always strong. I know you're not seeing great performances against good team, but they were with Philly till the end last week. And Dak's just not getting over the hump and getting that marquee win. Houston's very good. Very, very good. And CJ Stroud is very much in the most upward trajectory we have seen from any rookie quarterback in quite a while. That said, the rest of the roster is just still a little lacking. Defense a little bit young and learning through some curves and mistakes right now. And the offensive line still not what it needs to be to make a push. That said, they're gelling each week. They're running the ball effectively today. Dallas is just a little more proven for me. That's why I'm not going to hate on them too much. I don't like Dallas by no means, but I think they're just a little overhated at times. Go ahead, Brian.
So I think Dallas is overhyped at times, and I think that they have a very talented roster, and the questions all come in when it comes to Dak Prescott. So if you remove that from the equation, you enter CJ Stroud into the equation, you got a Super Bowl contender, baby. And that's what the Dallas Cowboys could be with a CJ Stroud. So I think it's a roster thing. I think Dallas has a better roster, more complete team, more consistent week in and week out team, better team, just all in all. But they don't got that dog at quarterback, and we've seen it. We've seen Dak Prescott beat up on the little teams, and then come to play the big boys and not play his best football. We've seen it time and time again. So
I'm not disagreeing with you there, Brian. Dak needs to play better against good football teams. He is just, lack of better words, crap the bed against the good ones, and had a chance to get over the hump last week against Philadelphia. Failed to do so. I'm just going to have to see. Dallas has some really big games the second half of the football year. He has to turn in a good performance and just reel off an important win for Dallas to make anyone believe they can make any type of playoff push, because in the NFC, the weaker side of the NFL landscape, they're going to be a playoff team. He just needs that win to prove they can make any type of playoff run, as I said. Christian, anything before we get out of here?
There's, like you said, there's 4 of them. He has to win, bro. One of them 4, and that's the Eagles, Buffalo, Dolphins, Lions. They have to win one of them 4 because, like y'all are saying, like I understand they've won a lot of games, but I mean they lost to Arizona, not a good team, not even at all. Yeah. They've lost to the 49ers, and it was a blowout. A Chargers team with 0 defense held them to. I mean, we only lost to 3 points, and then I mean the Eagles shootout. But I mean, other than that, I mean I've talked about the Dolphins schedule. Dallas has better been happy. This is the schedule they've been handed. I think it's been a totally different. Yeah. Tell of a season if this schedule is beefed up just a little bit more.
Yeah, just one of the teams that always gets a lot of talk, media and NFL fandom wide. It's one of the most popular to love teams, most popular to hate teams. So they'll always be in our conversations. Great question for this week's pod there, Christian. That was a great episode, guys. Obviously, mine and Christian's teams falling victim to some heartbreak, but we have a NFL preview show to get to, and my Ravens will be the Thursday night football game against Cincinnati. Both teams coming off some bad losses and needing to bounce back, so that'll be one of the funner Thursday night games to watch in the season. We'll have that preview up for you guys Thursday morning ahead of that game, along with all the Week 11 preview picks of ours. We are flying through almost Thanksgiving football, guys. Like, this has just been so fun, and it's been really good football to recap for you guys each and every week. As always, just continue to like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend, tell an enemy, whoever you got to tell to get to listen to our podcast, and let us know how we're doing and enjoy this ride with us, because it's been a lot of fun. As always, guys, we'll see you on the Thursday morning preview show. Until next time, peace out.
Peace.
Cleveland.